Teaching at an HBCU. I taught at Tuskegee University. I had the pleasure of doing that for 2 years, and I've been here for 4, almost 5. And in my family, as you students know, my father was the first generation to go off to college and go all the way through to MIT and persist and get his PhD. And my mom was first generation also to even graduate from high school in her family, and then go on to college, and then eventually get her master's degree. And in my family, the comment always was that education is your freedom, because it gives you the freedom of choices and the freedom to move forward in a way that's just limitless. And HBCUs were founded on that model. William Hoover Council was actually very good friends with Booker T. Washington, who founded Tuskegee. And they both had a similar dream of moving a group of people forward. And they recognize the fact that education makes you free. So it's more than just, test scores and good grades, although that very much matters for you to get your scholarships, but it's also about making sure that you have choices, and I hope that you'll carry that with you, and you'll depart and pass that on to and encourage your friends, and eventually when you have your own families, So, thank you, Mr. Hall. If you have questions about any of the universities you're attending, just like A&M, you can go to websites, you can check out scholarships, and go to specific web areas of your websites and look at, contact chairpersons about the scholarships. And remember, there's a lot of areas that offer internships. The Boeing Company, we have our speaker that I'm getting ready to introduce, has them as well. And I'm going to use that as a transition to thank the Boeing Company for all of their support for this National Science Foundation grant that they have provided us this summer, with speaker Dr. William Seidler giving a talk on technology singularity, to Ronwee Watson, who came and gave that excellent talk about ethics and the importance of how we approach the way that we do our work, and how important ethics are to our lives and the decisions that we make in our success. I am now getting ready, and I will introduce Mr. Tony Jones. He is the Vice President for the Huntsville Site Executive, Strategic Missile and Defense Systems Division. Retired Lieutenant General Anthony R., he goes by Tony, Jones, was named Vice President and Senior Site Executive for Boeing Huntsville in July 2008, responsible for overall operation of the Boeing Huntsville site. Huntsville is host to business activities that include aviation and missile defense, space, and homeland security, employing almost 3,000 people. Boeing is the largest aerospace company in Alabama and one of the state's largest private employers, executing critical defense and space programs, including the ground-based mid-course defense program for the Department of Defense and key components of the Ares Crew launch vehicle for NASA. Huntsville also supports International Space Station Brigade Combat Team Systems, Patriot Advanced Capability 3, Aegis Standard Missile 3, Avenger, Arrow, and SBI Net. Jones joined the Boeing Company in 2006 after a distinguished career in the U.S. Army, where he achieved the rank of Lieutenant General. In his previous position as Vice President for Training Systems and Services, TSS, his responsibilities include leadership, growth.
Thank you very much. If we continued that, we wouldn't get out of here, would we? I know I'm between you, your certificates, and maybe a check. But thank you very much for that kind introduction. Sometimes I forget who I am. Okay, how we doing? How was the last 6 weeks? Huh? I'd like to thank A&M and all the great facilities, people here that hosted this program, because I think you're going to look back on it here in a few months and maybe years and say, that really made a difference. So thanks. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, that's a tough act to follow. I was just watching, and great enthusiasm, passion for A&M and all they do. And my personal thought that was a paid political advertisement. I don't know where you guys are going to school, but pretty enticing. Okay, let me talk to you about a few things this morning. Dr. Seidler asked me to do a few things, but I want this to be interactive. I've heard about this class. I heard you're engaged. I've heard that you're very astute, and I probably lowered the IQ in this room when I walked in by about 10%. I wasn't the smartest hot dog in the bunch. Okay, and we'll talk about that, what it takes to go on. Let me ask you one thing to do right now. You've just finished some academia. You're probably off to a great start. I want you to think just for, now if, at my age, what we do, I tell you to take out a piece of paper and a pencil right now and write something down. Obviously we don't do that anymore. But I'd like you to just think about what's your vision. Think about where you want to be in 3 to 5 years from now. And I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about that. So go ahead and internalize that a little bit and say, where am I going to be 3 to 5 years? What's my vision? While you do that, did anybody see the shuttle land yesterday morning?
Yes.
What did the rest of them? Pretty significant event. I also asked you to think about the last, what we've been doing the shuttle about 30 years now. And many of you obviously are not like me and can remember the first time, or the Apollo age. But think back, if you think about the last half of the last century and going forward, what significant events do you remember that may separate the United States from others in the world? Okay. Let's get back to the first question. Where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? Who's got a question or an answer for me?
Okay, students, you're not that shy. You got to raise your hand.
I know I'm not intimidated. Yes, sir. In the university, getting your master's degree. So continuing in academia. Okay. What do you want to get a degree in? Okay, that's fair. How about somebody over here?
Psychology.
Psychology. And what are you going to do with the psychology degree? Be a psychiatrist, be a doctor? Inside somebody's mind, huh? Okay, how about back up here in the back? Because I know a lot of people come into the back of the audience, and how about you, sir? Where are you going to be 3 to 5 years?
Watching my daughter graduate.
Medical school? Okay, and do what in medical school? Hbcu-Up? You thought I'd missed you, didn't you? Where are you going to be in 3 to 5 years? Seeing your cousin, Patrick. Okay. Why do I ask that? Why do I ask that? You all have come along. You've been in academia. You're at a fork in the road, so to speak. And many of the older folks in here would say, like Yogi Berra, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Right? So you gotta have a plan. Yogi also says when you come into a fork in the road, take it. Left or right. But you gotta give it some thought. Because what's ahead of you is not as much challenge as opportunities. I sat in your same seats, not here, but way back when. I grew up in a small town. I lived out in the country. Went to a small high school. Didn't know what was available, so I tried to set my visions high, and I applied to a lot of places for college: Duke, Miami, Florida, Notre Dame, West Point, Indiana. I didn't do Purdue. I was not a science inclined person. And I thought I'd just test the waters. Could I be accepted? And I heard the scores that we just talked about a while ago. I wasn't even close to those scores. You know, I know that things have changed, but. And then I saw the cost to do that. So I ended up going with an academic scholarship and later ROTC, and that led me into the Army. But I wasn't the smartest in my class. Okay. There was others where learning became a lot easier. So I had to apply myself. First thing I had to learn was probably self-discipline. You know, it's easy, like those who didn't see the shuttle landing yesterday morning, to stay in bed. But that's okay. But you're gonna be out on your own. Mom and Dad's not gonna be there to, you know, to pull your pillow, get you going. You're gonna have to figure out your own battle rhythm, so to speak. Got to get up, got to program time for myself. I got to be frugal with my resources. But you'll find that the most important resource is time. And you got to apply yourself. Okay? So that's one of the first things you've got to do. Now, as you thought about where you wanted to go, and where you wanted to be in 3 to 5 years, there is a map or a road, and you got to kind of map it out to see what it takes to get there. Okay, and who you want to be. And I would suggest to you, there's 3 ways to get there. One, you're working the academic roadmap, or branch of that road right now. And you're doing fairly well. But as time comes, you've got to get some experience, which is the second pillar of learning. And then you've got to continue to develop yourself. And I call that more like self-learning and challenging yourself to branch out into other things so you become well-rounded and increase your opportunities. So what you've got experience in right now is academia. So what are your opportunities ahead because you've got the foundation? And how are you going to do that? And sometimes it's going to be, you're going to be all alone, unafraid. Just you to think about that. And you're going to be wondering, as I have in the past sometimes, can I really do that? What skill sets do I not have that I need to work on to be able to get up that ladder a little bit more? All the parents in here, please raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you for being here. My father did take an interest in my academics, so I was pretty much achieved what I was going to achieve. My mom was a school teacher. She worked to help me get to college. So I guess as I look back and I think about it, and last night I was at the Educators to Space Camp, but you being part of your children's future is a testimony by you sitting here today, and I appreciate you doing that. But you all that are moving on here have got some challenges. And the better you think about those roadmaps, the more you think about values and value systems